3-2 to Gonzalez. The set and the payoff pitch is strike three call, and he got him. Nice looking pitch there. That was the split grip changeup, and he struck out Gonzalez to retire the side.
This is Joe Mack, and you're watching the Moneyball channel.
Boom. Moneyball fans, I am here today. It's my pleasure to have Brian Edgington with me. He is with the Cincinnati Reds organization, pitching, and I believe right now, in high A or double? Where you at?
I finished last year in high A, Dayton, Ohio.
Excellent. So I wanted to hear Brian's story, his adaptation into where he's at right now, his, progression as to where he's at, and just talk a little bit and get to know you. So thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So we were just talking a little bit, before we came on. He's got the Ravens. He's allowed to keep the Ravens hat on because he was very polite, and he said we can, unite against Mahomes. So that was okay with me. So he redeemed himself, being a Mahomes hater. That's
He's got to be stopped one way or another.
He's got to be stopped. He must be stopped. Let's talk about your path here, man. I think I've been interviewing a lot of MLB pros lately. Yourself included. I'm glad to have you, to this list of guys that I'm interviewing, and some of the most humble, down to earth guys who just have real stories, right, about how they kind of came and overcame situations. Eric Radijak, diabetic, and that whole story where he didn't even know that he was diabetic until he was like 19 years old and finally started getting insulin, and then he got drafted, right? So there's some really crazy stories. I want to hear your journey, man. For anyone who doesn't know the name, you're 26 years old, correct?
Yep.
And but let's talk about how it all started for you, and where your career took you to where it is now.
Yeah, so I guess I do. I like to think I have a pretty unique story. I did 6 years of college. So my freshman year, I'm from the Philadelphia area. So my freshman year, I went to St. Joseph University, which is like a small Division I school in the Philadelphia area. Threw a good amount of innings.
And now, Brian, are you 18 at this point?
Yes. I'm 19.
Okay.
So throwing like a good amount of innings there to start the year. And then early April, I ended up tearing my labrum in my right shoulder. Caused me to miss the rest of the year, and I ended up getting surgery on it in June of that that year. During my time there, I liked it, but I kind of just realized when I was able to kind of take a step back that the St. Joe's just wasn't the place for me, and I decided to transfer out. I transferred to Mercer County Community College, which is just outside of Trenton, New Jersey.
Was there a portal then, Brian?
Not really. In order to go to, if I wanted to go to another Division I school, I either had to go to JUCO or I had to sit out a year.
Okay.
That was before you could transfer without the rules.
Right. Yeah. Because now the portal, you can just go in and you're almost like a free agent for college. Right?
Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. So I made a decision to go to Mercer County Community College. Didn't throw all fall, still was recovering from surgery and building my way back. Came out in the spring, I did decently well. Was there for a year, and then I drew some interest. And the one school that really liked me the most was Elon University, which is in North Carolina. Another decently small Division I school, but coming off the year I committed there was the year they had Kirby, Bernovich, Adcock,
renowned baseball school.
Yeah, an insane rotation that year. I mean, Kirby was a first rounder. I think Bernovich was top 5 round. It was just like an insane.
That was their rotation.
Yeah, they had a legitimate major league rotation. It was just incredible. So yeah, I ended up committing there. First year there, oddly enough, was COVID year. So obviously that season got cut short, and then was there for 2 more years. Graduated in the spring of 22 with my undergrad degree. And I knew I had 1 year left of eligibility because I got my year back from my freshman year. Okay. And obviously COVID year.
Yeah.
So I had my 6th year, and I honestly, to be honest with you, that fall, my last fall in Elon, I was debating whether I even wanted to do my 6th year or not. Because I always wanted to play professional baseball, but at that point, I was like, it's kind of a stretch. Like at some point, like you just gotta hang them up. Like the game's going to tell you. So I had to make a decision, and I decided that I was going to take my 6th year, and then I was going to opt into the portal and just see what was out there for me. And then obviously I ended up going to University of Virginia with Connolly, as well a bunch of other great players. We had a great year there, went on a great run, made it to the College World Series, which is basically the main reason why I wanted to go there. Because like I said, I didn't know if Major League Baseball was going to be for me. And playing in college in playoff baseball and going to the College World Series was always something that I wanted to do while I was in college. So I obviously got there.
That's such a great attitude because it was a win to you regardless, you know? Like you had won as far as, hey, if I can go and do this and pitch, you know, a College World Series, maybe it's not my calling card pros, but that was it for you. And that was a goal that you had set, man. Just super, super resilient. You know what I mean? So everybody, we're real glad that you decided to do that 6th year, but
Yeah.
carry on.
So I mean, like you were saying, that our season ended in Omaha, and obviously, you know, I was upset. I thought that was the end of my playing career, but I was like, hey, like if this is how it ends, like that's fine with me. So draft came in July. I didn't think I was going to get drafted. I thought maybe I had a chance.
Did you not hear from any teams?
Not really, no. Which is kind of like what I expected. I mean, at the time I was 24 years old and I was barely hitting like 92, 93 on a good day. It's
Okay.
not like I was lighting the radar gun up, but like I was just like a super like pitchability like right-hander. Like I just knew how to get outs. Like essentially that was who I was.
All these things you're hitting on, man, it's almost like I want to blow the whistle. You said something that was just so key. You're focusing on that radar gun, man, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what can he hit? And I was just having this conversation. You just made a good point, man. You look at some of my favorite pitchers ever, the Greg Maddocks, you know, the Tom Glappens, the Smoltz. Those are my guys.
Like Kyle Hendricks nowadays.
Yeah, and that guy just gets outs, like you just
Yeah.
said. It's outs. They're ground ball outs. There's ways to do that, and it's not all about the gun. And I just wanted to interrupt and say that because you made such, you know, and you said I was topping off 92, 93. And it's kind of sad that scouts we'll pass on this guy. He only hits 92. Well, what about the 72 outs in a row that he has? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you were like, this probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I wanted to happen, I knew realistically that the chances were pretty small. So draft came and went, didn't receive any calls, but wasn't necessarily that surprised. And then I had this decision to make, and it was really a hard decision for me. Like I wasn't sure if I wanted to go play indie ball for the rest of the summer and give it a shot or what. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go play indie ball or just hang him up. And I was pretty close to honestly just hanging him up and be like, hey, like this is how it ends. Like that's all right. So I signed it to the draft league, the MLB draft league.
Okay.
For the West Virginia Black Bears. Ended up making 2 starts, and then the Reds called me and were like, hey, like we need innings to fill in the Arizona League, the summer league. Like we want to sign you, like we like you. So I mean, obviously, who am I to say no?
Well, of course.
So
I'm going to pass, guys. Thanks, Cincinnati Reds, but I'm going to go ahead and
yeah. So I mean, packed up all my stuff, drove home, and then the next day I was on a flight out to Arizona.
How did you do in those 2 starts? Were you lights out? I mean, did they see something crazy?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I did like decently well. I don't remember exactly what my stats line were. I think I did decent, but I didn't even remember. I'm convinced that they didn't see me out there.
Okay.
Because the day they called me, I got a text from one of our old player ops guys at Virginia. His name's John Hendry. He's now with South Carolina.
Okay.
He texted me. He's like, hey, like this Red Scout is like going to call you today. And turns out like they want to sign me. So I don't know if it was him that kind of like got the connection, if they saw me in the draft league, if they saw me because I mean, they drafted Ethan O'Donnell earlier that year. That was our center fielder. So I mean, they maybe saw me pitch. So I don't even know.
Hey man, listen, they saw you, right? They saw you anyway.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
How shocked are you when you get that call?
I mean,
did you think somebody's pranking you or what?
Like kind of at first. Like I was just like I knew it wasn't fake, but in the back of my head I was like, this has got to be like. So then the next day I flew out. So I guess that following day, so 2 days after they called me, like was when I like got to the complex for the first time, and I was like, okay, like no, this is real.
Pinch me, man. This is right. I'm in the Cactus League right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, so you arrive there at the facility. Are you in awe at this point? You know, are you seeing some guys walk around the clubhouse? You know, like that. You're like, hey, there's you know, well, what year was it? Was this last year?
This was 2 summers ago. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But that was about it. I think Hunter Green was on a rehab start, but he left like the day before I got there.
Yeah.
But no, that was pretty cool. I would say though, like this past spring training was like the first time that I like really got to be out there and like be around like the major league guys. And Andrew Abbott went to Virginia, and I didn't play there with him, but when I was at Virginia, he was there training in the off season, and I got to know him like a little bit. Honestly, oddly enough, like he texted me when I signed. He's like, "Hey, like congratulations, like
Yeah.
If you need me to like do anything, like don't be like don't hesitate to reach out. And then even like last like off season or like in the spring training, like I saw every now and then like I'd see him and he'd just like ask like, hey, how are you doing? Like what's going on? Like very like didn't have to do that like at all, but like very nice of
He didn't. And you know what? That's enlightening to hear, man, because
him.
I think baseball's brotherhood's a little bit different than a lot of sports brotherhood. You're the best of the
Yeah.
best. You're a professional baseball player. And I think sometimes people confuse that because of the different levels, the high A, the low A, even triple A ball players, and they're a call or an injury away from potentially showcasing themselves. Did you feel that way or no?
Yeah. I've kind of felt that way for for like a while now because I've always been like an older person essentially like playing with younger kids.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. At what age
Yeah.
did you start playing? Did you play, you said you wanted to play professional baseball your whole life. Did you start real young?
Yeah, I mean, whatever age you could play t-ball is when I started. I think like even before that, I'd play like rec at the Y or whatever. But yeah, I played baseball essentially like my whole life.
Yeah. Did you grow up playing any other sports at all?
Yeah, I grew up playing basketball and football as well. Football until I was like, until I got to middle school, but basketball throughout high school.
Yeah. And you just kind of knew baseball was the one you wanted to stick with.
Yeah, oddly enough, I think when I was little, football was my best sport.
Yeah.
But as I got older, baseball slowly and surely became my favorite and my best sport.
And then what was the transition from, say, playing different positions, whether it was infield or batting or whatever, to going in, pitching full time?
Yeah, luckily I didn't have to make that transition till freshman year of college because
Yeah.
I mean, I hit all throughout high school. It was definitely weird at first, like, because I mean, as a pitcher, like specifically, like, you don't hit, you don't like have to run the
Right.
bases. You spend like so much more time just like on your craft and like talking to like other pitchers about like, yeah, like what are they feeling, like pitch grips, like just like anything and everything that like could possibly help you. So that
Right.
was probably the biggest change between like being a pitch PO and like playing in the field as well.
When you report to spring trainings, because obviously there's pitchers and catchers report and then kind of everybody else reports. Is there a
Yeah.
huge segregation there where you're just not even around these guys? I mean, it's kind of its own dormitory, right, of pitchers and catchers, or is there a lot of interaction? I'm talking like before you're actually throwing to these guys.
I look at pitchers very much like specialists in football.
Okay.
Like we're kind of like our own like
Yeah.
little like breed. Like we kind of stay to ourselves. Like we'll interact with like the main team every now and then, but like for the most part, like we stick to ourselves a lot and talk amongst each other.
That makes sense. I've actually had a few pro place kickers on the show, and that's kind of what it is, and it's almost a fraternity in itself, right? Like goaltenders in hockey,
Yeah.
kind of the same way. I mean, you're mowing guys down, man. So saying, I don't know what you did if you increased that fastball or whatever, but I looked at your stats and you're over a strikeout an inning, and I mean, I think that's important, right? Especially if as you trying to get to the next level type thing. Like I'm picturing myself, you and I are almost the same size, and how you possibly whiz a ball, 95 miles an hour is just beyond me, right? I mean, with all you guys, it's always just kind of blown my mind. You're blessed. You're
Yeah.
an athlete. Have you added a few ticks to it?
A little bit, yeah. So this past year, I would come out early, like sitting 93, 94 and settle in more 92, 93. But yeah, for sure added a couple ticks to my fastball, which was a big thing for me and part of the reason why I had a lot of success this past year.
Do you have a sweeper right now? Are you working a sweeper?
I'm working on one right now, actually. Yeah.
He's working on a sweeper right now.
Everyone.
That's the sexy pitch. It kind of goes back to what we had said right in the inception of the conversation, is just how people judge pitching, everything by speed. Is it almost, in your opinion, like chicks dig the long ball, right? Is it almost like a chicks dig the fastball, right? I mean, is there an element of that to it? Like, hey, we don't want to come and watch this guy get ground outs. He could be the best guy, and like a Hendricks or something. Do you feel
Yeah.
that of a part of it?
A little bit. I mean, I'll find myself like kind of like in awe if someone is throwing like 98 plus
Yeah.
because like that's really cool. But I do think sometimes people get enamored with the fastball velocity, especially, I mean, you got to throw strikes.
You got to throw a strike.
But I do. There's something to be said about throwing super hard. But I sometimes I do think people get a little bit enamored by it.
And think about what we're talking about for a difference. I mean, when you say 92, 93, and then you talk about 96, 97, and I don't want to be monotonous with the viewers because I kind of just went here with the last interview as well. However, when you're talking about 3 or 4 miles an hour, Okay. And a viewer or someone who's maybe not as educated with baseball, well, what do you mean? Just throw harder. Just throw harder. You know how much harder, how hard it is to
Yeah.
add 3, 4 ticks to your ball is like
Mm.
it's like a year of training,
Yeah. It's incredibly hard, and it's not very easy to do.
Do you use more of the weights workout type thing, or are you more of a band guy?
I would say I'm big into the weights. I mean, I definitely incorporate band work and like mobility as well, but I would say like you need to be strong. Like if you look at all the people that throw super hard, like none of them are weak. Like they're all very, very strong.
Right. I agree. Even if they are, even if they're skinny or whatever, they're strong.
Mhm.
So where do you see yourself? Where do you think this is all going?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that, I'll start the year, break camp in Double A. If not, I'll break wherever I break. I mean, I'm just trying to take it one day at a time and just be the best player I can be. So I mean, whatever that leads me, that leads me. But
Best attitude in the world, man. I mean, really, it's best attitude
Mhm.
you can have. Is it tough being out, on the road? I don't talk about this often, but I think it's something that people, again, professional athletes, not always glitz and glamour. You know what I mean? It's there's all different levels, there's all different contracts, there's all different everything. You guys have it tough. I mean, you're out, say you're playing 2, 3, 4 games in a row. Tell me a little bit about that for someone who's never experienced it. Like, how is that day-to-day grind?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure going to school not close to home certainly helped. I mean, Elon is like a 7.5 hour drive from
Yeah.
Philadelphia, and Virginia is like 4.5. So it's not like, oh, if I'm homesick, like I can just go home for the night or the weekend. So I think that definitely helped too. But it's fun, honestly. Like I say, like I get paid to hang out with my friends every day.
And that's cool that you mentioned that because that's kind of where I was going with it, right? Like, do you have downtime? Because I think people think that you don't. They think it's just boom, now you're back up and the next morning you're either in the weight room and then you got to start a bullpen session or something. So you do have
Yeah,
downtime and you
for
have to
sure.
go out and do this and that and
Yeah, and I think it's honestly even like different for like I mean, so I'm a starting pitcher, so like even starting pitchers, like if it's not your day to start, yeah, unless it's on if you're throwing like before the game or like lifting or what, like pretty much you get everything you need to be done like before the game. And like once the game starts, like it is kind of like some free time. Like obviously you're watching and like following along the game, but like it's
no,
not the same as a position player that like needs to be locked in for every game, no matter if you're playing or not.
100%. I'm glad you brought that up, bro. That's a great question that I've never asked before. So I'm going to ask it for the first time. And you're on the lie detector right now. We got you wired in.
Okay.
You're watching a game. You're not pitching that day. I mean, there's no doubt there's got to be times where you're like, right? Baseball,
Yeah.
it can be a grueling sport. Now, is there times like that as a pitcher where you're just watching a baseball game and thinking about, do I want a chicken finger sub or do I want a ham and cheese sub?
All the time. Or like, yeah, so you'll zoom in on them and they're talking and then like they'll be like, I wonder what they're talking about. It's like it's probably nothing to do with the game.
Like there's
It's
like,
just like you just like talk like you talk about like whatever
yeah.
it comes to mind. It's really fun sometimes.
And I think they think like, you're a savant of the game that the only thing you can be talking about, like you're looking at the girl in the third row up and you're like, wow, you ain't talking about about a splitter.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. I think it's got to be incredible. It's got to be fun. Let's get into a couple of questions here to get to know you on a more personal level a little bit. I like asking this question, just kind of says who you are. But if I were to grab your phone right now and see the last song you had downloaded, man, who is it and what are you listening to?
Last song. I don't know what the last song I have downloaded is, but I like to listen to a wide variety of music, but it's kind of like seasonal.
Okay,
So like in the spring and summer, I'm really big into like country.
okay,
But like in the fall and winter, like I can't. Like to me, like country, like you play it when it's like nice and warm.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're cruising in your pickup truck.
Yeah.
No,
For
and you
real.
got your dog with. I got a '78 Ford, man. I like to take that thing out, and I'm not a huge country guy, but when I'm in that, it's either old rock or country.
Yeah. I mean, so country for sure. I listen to a lot of rap, some classic rock. I listen to like I said, a wide variety of music. It just kind of depends on like my mood
Yep.
and time of season of what I'm listening to.
It's worldly. It's worldly. The
Mhm.
more music you listen to, man. The EDM, I'm shocked how many of you guys are getting into the EDM.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it was like it always played like in college, so you just kind of got used to it.
Favorite actor? Who's your favorite actor, Brian?
Ooh, favorite actor. Great question. I would say Christian Bale.
Okay. All
I'm a
right.
big, my favorite movie is The Dark Knight.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and he's played a lot in a lot of good, like different various roles too. So,
I think he was an excellent Batman.
yeah, I liked him. I mean, I thought Heath Ledger's Joker is like the best character of all time.
So, in traveling thus far, what city has the best food?
That's a great question. Another great question.
I like to turn it up here at the end.
Yeah, I would say, well, I guess biasly, so the Reds low A's in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay.
So, in the Florida State League. So I would say we went to Clearwater, which is like where the Phillies were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Um,
have family
they
in
had some
Clearwater.
great,
Yeah, I'm there all the
yeah,
time.
great food. There's like one local place that has like Philly cheesesteaks, so like a little biased.
Okay.
Got to eat some of those when I was there. But,
I'm
yeah, I would
I'm
say
a
probably
huge.
Clearwater
If you're ever in Buffalo, you and I are definitely going out for wings.
for
Um,
sure.
This was a lot of fun, man. I'm glad we got to dice it up. I'm really glad we got to meet. I wish you nothing but success in your career. I think you have the right attitude that you're going to go as long and far as you possibly can. And you, to me, have that mentality that you'd be an excellent coach too.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna probably end up doing if playing didn't work out for me. So
There's something about you, there's a charisma about you that just speaks coach, that I think people want to hear you and want to listen to you. You can draw people in. Definitely a compliment, man, because that's tough. I think a lot of coaches think they can coach, especially kids, and youth. So, yeah, man, all the best. And it was great having you on, and I hope we can keep in touch.
yeah, thank you. I thank you for having me on. I had a lot of fun, and absolutely. I mean, if I'm ever in Buffalo again, I'm definitely gonna hit you up.
You have my number, my friend. All right, brother.
Alrighty.
Take care, man. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.
See ya.